If you want this top but you don't know how to crochet, I don't know how you ended up here, but you can buy this finished object through my Etsy shop. You can also buy the pattern on my Etsy shop. Hi friends, and welcome to Funshine Fab Crochet. I am Kelsey and this is my crochet corner. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a rainbow crochet top in sizes extra small, small, medium, and large. If you aren't sure what size you are, scroll down to the description because I'm going to tell you what size you should make for yourself based on your bust measurement. So if you want to learn how to make this top, stick around. So before we get started, I just want to go over some sizing information. All 4 sizes will have 2 rows of red at the very end, and there will be no increases in these 2 rows for any size. All 4 sizes also will have 4 rows of purple at the bottom down here. Then an extra small will only have 2 rows of blue, 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 orange, and 2 red. A small will look just like this. This is a size small. So 4 purple, 3 blue, 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 orange, 2 red. A medium, of course, will be 1 row bigger. So it will have 4 of the purple, 3 of the blue, 3 of the green, 2 yellow, 2 orange, 2 red. And then a large will have 1 more row than that. So it'll be 4 of the purple, 3 of the blue, 3 of the green, and 3 of the yellow. Then 2 orange, 2 red. I'm using a 5mm H8 hook for this entire project. Starting with my purple yarn, I'm going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the first chain. You can do this or you can create a magic ring, and then using my fingernails, I'm going to pull it apart so I can find the center. I'm going to chain 2. This counts as your first double crochet stitch. And then in the center of those chains, I'm going to double crochet 5 times. So it should have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to pull that tail so it becomes tight in the center. From this point, you're going to chain 2. This counts as your first stitch in the second row. And this is the only time you will ever do this in this project. Rotate your work and crochet a double crochet into that first stitch to create an increase. Then you're going to double crochet twice in every stitch in this round except the very last one. And the last stitch is that chain 2 from the beginning of the last round. Only crochet in that one time. So at the end of this round, counting that first chain 2 at the beginning, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches. Then you're going to chain 2 to start the next round. Never go into this one again, just to remind you. But that first one counts as your first stitch, and you're going to increase in every second stitch. So again, it's going to go 1 by itself, and then 2 in the next one. 1 by itself. Let me get more yarn. And then 2 in the next. 1, 2, and 1, and 2. Don't forget, there will always be a chain 1 at the end here that you have to double crochet into. So at the end of this round, you should have, counting that first chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 double crochets. This will be the last round for the purple, chain 2. Then you'll you'll double crochet in the second stitch. This counts as 1, 2, and in the next one you will crochet twice. So you'll go once in the next, once in the second, and then 2 double crochets in the third. Repeat this until the end. 1, 2, 3. In every round that there are increases, it will always go in the next to last stitch. So if you get to the next to last stitch here and it doesn't add up that it should be 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, go back and count. There will always be 2 in the next to last in every round that there are increases. And then 1 in the chain 2. So this is what it should look like for all sizes, extra small, small, medium, and large. They will all have 4 rows of purple. And you can cut your purple yarn here. Starting with your blue yarn on your hook, you're gonna slip stitch into this first stitch with the purple tail. Chain 2, that counts as your first stitch. I'm gonna crochet over my tails a little bit as I go just to make them easier to tie up and weave in the end. This is completely optional. So this would be my 3rd. And in the 4th stitch, I'm gonna crochet, double crochet twice for an increase. Repeat that through the whole pattern, or the whole row. Again, every row will end with 2 double crochets in the next to last stitch, and then don't forget 1 double crochet in the chain 2 from the start of the last round. To start your next round, you guessed it, chain 2. That counts as your first stitch, double crochet in the second stitch, double crochet in the third stitch, double crochet in the fourth stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the fifth. Now, if I was making a size extra small, I would cut the blue yarn here and start with the green, but the pattern as far as increases will always be the same no matter, you know, what color comes next. But for a small, medium, and large, I'm gonna go ahead and make a 3rd row with the blue by chaining 2. And that counts as the first stitch, so I'm gonna double crochet in the second, double crochet in the third, double crochet in the fourth, double crochet in the fifth, and then double crochet twice in the 6th stitch. Just like that. Repeat this the whole row. Every row that ends with a double crochet twice in the next to last stitch, I know that I'm probably on track. And 1 last double crochet. All sizes, I'm going to cut the blue yarn here. Going in with the green, I'm going to slip stitch into my blue loop with the tail. Chain 2, that counts as your first stitch in this row. And then I'm going to double crochet once. Again, I'm crocheting over the tails, but this is completely optional. You don't have to do it. I just like the ease of tying them up and weaving them in the end to be quick. So that was the 3rd stitch. You're going to double crochet once in every stitch until you get to the 7th stitch, and then you're going to double crochet twice. You're probably seeing a pattern. And double crochet twice. I pulled the yarn apart. In the next row, you're going to chain 2, rotate. That counts as your first stitch. Double crochet in the second, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th stitches, all double crochets, and then in the 8th, you're going to double crochet twice. Repeat this for the whole row. When you get to the end of this, I'm making a size small, so I'm going to cut the green yarn here. If you're making a medium or a large, you're going to do one more row of green. And then with the yellow, I'm going to slip stitch into the green loop where the green tail is. And I'm going to chain 2, it counts as your first stitch. I'm going to, over those tails, double crochet once. In the next loop, I'm going to double crochet again. That is 3 stitches. Double crochet in the 4th, double crochet in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Then in the next stitch, I'm going to double crochet twice. At the end of this row, I'm going to chain twice, rotate, start again with a double crochet in the first 9 stitches, 1 double crochet each, 7, 8, 9, and then in that 10th stitch, I'm going to double crochet twice. I'm going to cut my yellow yarn here, starting with orange on my hook. I'm going to slip stitch into that last yellow double crochet and chain 2. I'm going to double crochet once in the 2nd stitch, double crochet once in the 3rd stitch, in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I'll get 1 double crochet each. And then of course in that 11th stitch, I'm going to double crochet twice to increase. Repeat this for the whole row. So, for an extra small only, you should have just done your 2nd row of orange, and you're going to start with red next. Do not increase anymore in the next 2 rounds. You're just going to do a row of red, no increases at all, and a 2nd row of red, no increases. But for the rest of the sizes, we are going to continue by chaining 2, and then double crocheting 1 time in the next 11 stitches. And 11. And then in that 12th stitch, you're just going to double crochet twice. At the end of this row, you're going to cut your yarn for a size small. You're not going to increase anymore. You're just going to do 2 rows double crochet of red, not a single increase in either row. Starting with red, I'm going to slip stitch into that last orange double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to double crochet 1 time in every single stitch. Last row, you're going to chain 2, and no need to count because you don't need to add a single increase. And at the end of those 2 rows for a size small, I'm gonna have a total of 15 rows. I'm gonna cut the red. So the next part is gonna be adding the straps at the top to make the halter top. So starting with red on my hook, I'm gonna leave a decent sized little tail, and I'm just gonna chain 55 times. Once I've chained 55 times, I'm gonna try to find the center up top. Your goal is to make the straps 14 to 16 stitches apart, roughly. To find the center, I tried to use the purple and sometimes a little chunk of the blue to line up what looks even. This can take some trial and error because of course every top is different based on tension and other things. But I will just try to find what looks like it could be centered, and then I will slip stitch. And then like I said, I will try to slip stitch between 14 to 16 times up here. If you do more than 16 to 17 slip stitches, when you have your top tied around your neck, it'll crinkle up like this. Doesn't look good. And if you have too few, it will be like this. The straps going around your neck also does not look good. So I'm at 14 slip stitches right here. I'm gonna go 15, and then I'm gonna chain 5 just to give myself an idea if this is even or not. And I'm gonna kind of tug at it to see, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's close. Yeah, that looks even enough for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chain a total of 55 on this last strap. I'm going to cut my yarn, a little extra tail. You're finished with the red yarn from this point, so you can tuck that away. Then I'm going to cut these so that they're even, but I'm still going to leave quite a bit of tail on each of them. And that is how you do the straps. Now to make the clouds, this is my favorite part. Going in with white yarn, I'm going to slip stitch just on that furthest right red that's not an actual loop. It's just below the last double crochet right there. I'm going to slip stitch, chain 1. Again, I'm going to be like weaving in my ends by crocheting over them a little. You do not have to do this. Totally optional. You can do it all at the end if you prefer. I'm going to make half double crochets across the entirety of the bottom. The roughest part about this is they are not traditional stitches, of course, so you just kind of have to eyeball. The best advice I can give you is don't do too many, don't do too few, but I'll show you exactly where I put mine so you can get an idea. I do those first 3, and then what I like to do, it took me years to discover this, is to to half double crochet 2 together, like a decrease. Otherwise there will be a big gap where 2 colors meet. You don't have to do this, completely optional. But I kind of go in the same stitches all the way across. And you can see it makes it a pretty hole-free line down there. So mine ended up with about 47 half double crochets all the way across. I think you could get away with anywhere from 43 to 51-ish roughly. So then we're going to do one more row, except this one is going to be double crochet. So we are going to chain 2, rotate, and then double crochet in every stitch you just made across the bottom. Okay, so you get to the end and of double crochets there, and then you're just gonna leave a long tail and then snip. And to make the straps that tie behind your back, you're gonna leave a tail, take your white yarn, and you are gonna chain 55 times. Then you are going to slip stitch into that first, or I guess that last, double crochet. And you're gonna slip stitch in the next one. Then you're gonna count 1, 2, 3 stitches from where your last slip stitch there. You're gonna yarn over, and then you are gonna double crochet 6 times into that stitch. And that creates kind of a scallop. And 6. So it should look something like that. Then you're gonna count, 3rd stitch away again. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna slip stitch into that one and then slip stitch into the next. If you want your scallops to be closer together, you can slip stitch once instead of twice between each of these clouds. So again, counting 1, 2, 3 away, I've yarned over. I'm going to double crochet, 6 times into that stitch. Once I've done that, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 stitches away, and I'm going to slip stitch. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to slip stitch again. So you can see the clouds being made. I used to make them closer together, but you know, all preference. So I'm going to repeat this for the rest of the row. As you get to the end here, you might notice it doesn't always line up perfectly. Again, this can take some trial and error. I personally don't care if I end up with like a tiny cloud over here or a straight line. For the most part, this is going to be on your back, but also kind of like below your, I don't know, your arm. You're not going to notice this last cloud, or lack of. Just take my word. But for the sake of showing you, I just slip stitched 1 time in here instead of doing 2 slip stitches. And I'm just going to make a tiny cloud by doing some half doubles, and then maybe a couple double crochets, and then I'll do 1 more half double. Cloud does not have to be perfect. I mean, think of a cloud. Are they all the same? Of course not. And then I'm going to, once I get to the end, make sure you slip stitch in the last stitch right here, no matter what you chose to do here. If you just slip stitched all the way across, or if you made a tiny cloud, just make sure you end on a slip stitch no matter what. And then of course you're going to chain 55 stitches. Cut a little tail. I'm going to take these 2. I'm going to get them kind of more even, but still, ow, I cut myself. Still leave a little extra tail so they don't come apart. That is all the crocheting you have to do. You just got to go back and weave in your ends.